Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you all are doing well today. As we near the end of the year, we obviously take time to reflect on 2022 and the things that we've accomplished, the things that we can improve on, and of course, it's only natural for us to look forward and look at what we can do in 2023. If you're on this channel, you're probably watching this video because you're interested in watches, and I think it's only natural for us to look back at our watch collecting journey over the last year and look into 2023 and say, what is it going to hold for me when it comes to watches? I think some collectors like to live that way. Some collectors like to have a serious plan about what's next in their collection. There are other collectors that maybe like to just go with the flow and see what pops up. I think I'll just make a disclosure at the beginning of this video. This is not a video for someone who is content with their collection. Someone who has their collection, has the guts of everything that they want. This is obviously about planning for the next year. So if you are that person, first off, congratulations on such a great year, achieving that goal, because I think it's not something that every collector is able to do. Most of us have that collector gene where you constantly are looking for something new, something's got your eye, and so most people are still trying to make some sort of change or add to their collection in some way. So congrats if that's you. But what I thought I would do is sort of go through four ways or four mindsets that maybe you have, and hope you through this. This is really a discussion-based video. So hopefully maybe some of these will get you kick-started into making your goals for 2023 in your watch collection. So I think an obvious one is for the collector who has goals that they have set, but they were really long-term goals, and those are the ones that they're trying to achieve. And I'd say this is kind of what I've described as stick on the path that you've forged. Many of us have set collecting goals where we perhaps are saving up for a grail or looking for a very specific reference or a specific piece to add to your collection. And it's kind of a multi-year journey to try and accomplish that. For that collector, I would say stay true to that goal, but find ways of being productive. Find ways of still being engaged with the hobby of watch collecting. I think when you have these multi-year goals, it can be you can get distracted very easily, and it can kind of feel like getting to that end goal is difficult. Saving up for a watch is not the easiest thing to do, especially when there's so many interesting watches out there for you to try. But with that in mind, I think it's just try and stay productive. Go on interesting watch travels, or buy some books that can help educate you on other parts of watch collecting, or learn more about the watch that you're trying to save up for, the collection that you're trying to save up for. But remain productive over 2023, and I would say map out ways that you can do that. The second kind of mindset that you might be in is to add to your collection. And this might be, you might already know what those gaps are, and that's great. But if you don't, I think finding what the gaps are in your collection is kind of like the first start. What have you in your collection? How is it constructed? And what are you missing in terms of your collection's goal? Many people like to have one type of watch for each complication, or maybe they collect a specific reference and they're missing something in there. Whatever it is, I think understanding the gap is going to be the key to setting up your goals for 2023. I think there's also maybe an element here where finding a new interest, it might be something to do. So if you have gaps, that's fine, but maybe you don't have too many gaps. And I think it's then about, I hope that you spent 2022 maybe exploring new interests, new references, new models, new watch companies, new eras that you like and are interested in. It's another way of kind of approaching the idea that you want to add to your collection. The third type is replacing parts of a collection. So I think, again, looking at your collection holistically and saying, okay, this is what I have in front of me, and then doing the difficult assessment of what can I get rid of, or what do I want to get rid of, or what do I want to, what can I get rid of? This allows you to then explore new interests or new tastes that you may have, but also maybe it might be about replacing a watch that you feel isn't up to par when it comes to quality, or you want something in a different quality from what you already have. But I think figuring out what you're okay with letting go of, I think, is definitely a good starting point if you're someone who's looking to replace parts of a collection. I also think this might be you if you've learned something new about yourself, about a collection, about a specific watch company that you're interested in, or about an era. That can be a step that someone takes. A very obvious one that many people end up going through is when they figure out that a specific quality in a watch is more important to them than others. So a common one is condition. Maybe you purchased a watch because you were really desperate to get that specific watch, but it maybe wasn't up to the standard of quality that you now have for your collection. And so many people, many collectors will look at their collection and say, this isn't up to my quality standard, and try and find the watch that is at their quality standard. I think the fourth kind of person might be that person who's open-minded and isn't really looking to sticking with the collection goals they have, adding pieces to their collection, or replacing parts of it. It's really someone who is looking to see what the next year brings. It could be new releases from watch companies over the next year, or it could be what watches are going to turn up at auction that might seem interesting and might be a good part of someone's collection. But for this collector, I think it's really important to stay engaged with the hobby. And so a couple of ways you can do that. This collector clearly knows this, but research, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube, read articles on websites, buy books that were published by enthusiasts or scholars of watchmaking. That will get you interested in some other part and might open a door to you to say, hey, this is an interesting piece. I might consider researching this more. Go to museums. There's plenty of watch museums out there that have super interesting watches. The Bayer Museum in Zurich, or I think there's a couple of watch museums in the Chicago area. There's many ways of learning about new pieces, and it might not be wristwatches. It could be a pocket watch. It could be a clock that's pretty interesting. But that's another way to keep your mind going and continue to explore different parts of the watch industry. I highly recommend attending events. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago it's probably say a month ago, about the GPHG exhibits. Going and seeing the watches that are considered the all-time best for the year. There's plenty of events at boutiques that I encourage you to go to. It's another way of exploring watches, meeting people, being exposed to watches, so that being an open-minded person with your goals, you can explore those. The last thing I recommend is going to auctions or watching auctions or following an auction house. There's so many interesting opportunities you can find in auction houses about learning just about basic pieces, but also about being exposed to different qualities in watches. There's so many events that they hold with showings. If you don't have to be in person, you can watch them online, look at their catalogs, and you can have a lot of fun doing research and being open-minded to the watches that come to the market that way. And you don't have to be spending multi-million dollars on watches. There's so many auction houses that offer watches at varying prices for whoever might be interested in them. I highly recommend, if you are someone who likes vintage watches but isn't spending multi-million dollars, check out Antiquorum. They have some really interesting pieces they sell there, and with really interesting backstories. I saw this Patek Philippe that had this really interesting white gold and yellow gold two-tone case It was for repair, so it wasn't functioning at the time, but it was such an interesting case shape, and that kind of took me down a rabbit hole of researching those types of cases from Patek Philippe. So there's a picture of it on my Instagram if you want to check it out. But I really loved that whole process of just learning about it that way. I hope this helped sort of like frame maybe the mindset that you have for your 2023 collection. It's pretty insane that we're almost at the end of the year. I really recommend writing this stuff down. Have some sort of journal or some sort of place where you can keep track of all this stuff, because I think that gives intention to your watch collecting and can make it all that more fun when you accomplish your goals. I'll have an article on our website where we dive a little bit more into this. You can go to lifeonthewrist.com and check out the editorial section if you want to see that. Follow us on our social media accounts. We're there. Just search Life on the Wrist and we'll be there. Share this if you wouldn't mind sharing this video with a friend who might be interested in watches. That would really help me out. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it really does help me out as well. And with that said, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.